So once again, it's your boy, Dr. J.
And Dr. K.
All right, and we're back on the couch again, giving you our finale on my boy, my favorite character, Colin. Okay, so first and foremost, let's do a recap. Colin goes in for what we would think would be his final session, but it's actually not. Brooke has signed the paperwork so that he can remain on probation or be released rather. She is really happy to continue therapy with him. It seems like they had a breakthrough, even though Brooke was slightly inebriated during that time, and I texted him. He popped up, So he talks about how he really values the therapy and how he is happy that they would continue this process and that he feels like he's learned so much. And yet, Colin, being Colin, he begins to really take liberties. And once again, he's kind of looking over her house and all of those different type of things. And he begins to believe that he should have access to Brooke's body. But before we even get into that, he is happy that he is a part of some sort of startup company now. It's based on his past and how he talks about these young entrepreneurs. I think the old Colin may be coming back to his old tricks. So again, Brooke is concerned about his dealings with being honest, being overly concerned about what people think. And then he tries to sort of wrangle Brooke into this and say that, they're looking for mental health. And he's trying to say, hey, we can go into business together. So, and again, trying to cross boundaries. And then, she turns him down, of course. And then he does the unthinkable. He decides that the reason that Brooke signed this letter was because obviously she noticed the chemistry that they have for one another.
Delusion. You are a girl, I am a boy. We have all that in common, darling.
It's totally delusional. I mean, as a matter of fact, he recounts a story that, hey, rape or the Me Too movement, has changed the language. But back in the day, it wasn't really a problem with rape. And she was like, it was always a problem with rape, Colin, that sort of thing. And he basically believed that he should possess Brooke. And he not only hits on her, he basically tries to grab her, and she resists, and she basically was like, listen, clown, we will never have that relationship. And then he tried to cross boundaries to really, you're going to be with this Adam guy? And it is so, at the end, she basically tells him to get out. She will continue therapy with him, but he needs to leave. And Colin is just looking sad because he realized the therapy is just beginning. So that's where we are with the recap. Now, let me give my story arc, because I know Dr. K is going to blast. So what I see with Colin, throughout the story, what we had is a guy that was dealing with privilege, a guy that is really kind of stuck in a time capsule. He rails against Me Too. He rails against political correctness. He rails against any sort of change where he feels that for the first time that ounce, a small sliver of his privilege may be taken away. But what I found deliciously good evil about this guy is he didn't really change. It's an ongoing process. So it's kind of showing where we are as a nation now. As a nation, we're dealing with, in a sense, Colin, in a sense, is a microcosm of some of the things that we are dealing with in American culture today. It is not a quick fix. There is no magic formula. It's going to still take the therapeutic work and to get through to individuals to understand that political correctness or not, it's not really, I won't even say political correctness, is if you are being offensive to someone, these individuals have the right to call you out, whether it be a woman, whether it be someone from a different sexual orientation, a minority, a class group. It's really saying that the mic is being passed around now instead of being in one central place. So with that character, I want to go to you, Dr. K, with the first question I have. What do you make of Colin feeling like he should basically crossing the boundaries and trying to sleep with Brooke?
He's delusional. I think it's just an extension of the privilege. It's an extension of the privilege that he thinks he has. But one of the things that she's been working on with him is taking context clues and like social cues from other people. And he's like, well, how do you know what people feel? How do you know what they think? And she's like, ask them. So somehow his privilege has extended to the same way he doesn't want to be put in a box and labeled, he does that to other people. He assumes what they think, what they feel, and of course you want this. You had a guy like Adam. I'm white. I've got more privilege. Like, why would you want me? So he's connecting these dots that aren't there. And rather than ask someone, I mean, to me, it feels like, and I think what he came to at the end, which she was accepting of, there's a space within him that can't accept weakness and not having power. And when he's like, I despise people like that, and those people that let me take advantage of them and let this happen. And so it really says more about himself. And so then that made me think about, you didn't get to this point yet, but he reveals, some of his trauma from the past.
Oh, yeah.
And that was, I think, really key to it. I mean, he saw his both parents in traumatic situations in the form of, and maybe in their mind it was a sexual freedom, but the way he describes it is, my dad under a pile of, my mom, taking in, and when she's drinking and that. So I can only imagine how helpless that he felt as a kid in this, free environment. But where did that get him? And so I don't know how I got, excuse me, all the way there. But just, I guess that is his art, that he comes off as this pompous, like, I'm powerful. So he's taking all the rhetoric and all the stuff from this language and privilege that he's been assigned. But, there's deeper stuff within that I think he's trying to work out.
He definitely has what I would probably say the Napoleon complex. He definitely has some of those issues. And they just really show how corrupting power is and how power corrupts the powerful and the oppressed. We oftentimes write about how power impacts the oppressed, but I like what they're doing within treatment in a sense to show how it really impacts the psyche of the quote unquote powerful. And that's and it's definitely some narcissistic tendencies and that sort of thing. So I would say in closing, it really shows that whole idea of power. It shows that idea of privilege and how does one navigate that. And I think that therapy sessions kind of should make anyone check their privilege. I think that's one of the things that I walk away with as in terms of the narrative. Is there anything from the therapeutic standpoint that you feel that this relationship brings out?
I think when people talk about systemic, whatever it is, racism, sexism, and all of that, what people have to remember is it's a system, and a system works based on everybody having their place within the system. And so it's constraining for everybody, even when we think about like a sexism and those kinds of things. Like, so you would think, well, men would be on the top of that, but then men also have the pressures of, well, you better be a provider, you better be a protector, and if you're not, then what does it say about you? And so I think where you are in the system matters because you're impacted in a different way, but everybody's stuck, you know, in these roles that it's difficult to get away from. So I think, you know, she challenges him and he challenges her in this therapeutic relationship. But again, in terms of two viewers, and, you know, because I think my thing on the finale is plugging therapy for everybody. You know, it's this idea of challenging the things that we're raised with while understanding we're in a system, we have a place and a part in it. And, you know, how do we navigate that? And on top of all the things that we've been through and what we're all collectively going through with the pandemic and just all of those things together. So I think he was layered. He was not my favorite. I don't know why I had no patience for him, but I did for Eladio. I don't know. But, you know, it's layered, it's complex.
Again, Colin, this is my guy. Love this guy.